Big up, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is United vs. Everybody. I am Sean, and joining me tonight is Dylan. Hey, Dylan, how you doing?
Doing well. Doing well. Happy to be here.
This is, yes, we're happy to have you. It is a special edition on the Kickabout tonight. I checked in with Dylan to see what he had going on this week, see if he wanted to finally kind of sit down and do this stream. We've been kind of hinting at it for a couple weeks now, kind of waiting to see how things were going. And it seems like a lot of channels are kind of already going down this route. So I thought, let's go ahead and just kind of have this discussion. We've already been having it for a while. A lot of people are having it. Let's not pretend like the vast majority of United fans aren't having this discussion in their spare time either, right? I mean, we're kind of used to it in the last 12 years, but you guys know we're having it. So I didn't think we'd be having this video this early on this season, let alone actually doing it, right? But United gonna United, right, Dylan?
Oh yeah.
Oh, geez. I
Got
mean,
to be prepared for everything.
I know we had high hopes when Amorim was appointed, right? I mean, he did a lot at Sporting, not only just domestically, right?
Hmm.
Brought Sporting back to the top of that league, but also in Champions League, he bloodied a few noses as well. So, but I do worry that I don't know if the job is too big. I don't know if he's a little too stubborn in his tactical setup. He's still a young manager. It would seem really unfortunate if he was already super stubborn, didn't think he had any room to learn. But
Hmm.
I don't know about you, but my biggest gripe so far has just been kind of failing to identify the mistakes and learn from them and make the necessary changes. I'm not talking about formations. I'm talking about system. I'm talking about team selection. I'm talking about
Hmm.
substitutions. These little things. What do you think has been kind of the biggest issue so far?
I think at times with the team selection, we've all kind of looked at that and been like, what was the point? What was the thought here?
Yeah.
And it's hard when we're not in the room to get an understanding of what he's saying. We're not at training, we're not at Carrington doing all that. But some of the times, especially with the midfield decisions, I know we've kind of sat there and been like, or even with the front three attackers, we've been
Yeah.
like, come on, what was the thought here? Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's just like you were saying, this has come up a lot already. It's not like we're saying we want him to go. It's just like
Yeah.
it's just options. We're exploring this as an avenue of what might happen. So
Yeah. This isn't
yeah,
anybody saying we want anybody out. This is us
no,
just basically saying, as much as we look at the players and blame
hmm,
them for a lot of it, Amarim shares a responsibility, and he has a responsibility as in that regard to, make changes if he wants to keep his job. Because if it keeps going the
no,
way it's going, I don't know if he's going to stick
yeah,
around. He's on very thin ice right now. There's been
yeah,
reports that Ineos are sticking by him. Lori Whitwell
hmm,
reported today that they're going to give him to the end of the season, but I do think he's on thin ice. We've seen this before, the public backing, the reports that, the kiss of death, basically. But
yeah,
and you have to imagine, like, these meetings, these board meetings and whatnot, they're getting a little bit more awkward and tense with every single drop point, with every cup exit. You got to
hmm,
think, like, all right, Ruben, what's going on here?
yeah,
Um, with all that in mind, you guys can bet that Ineos do have a list of managers that they've got kind of basically on standby, list of managers that they've probably already talked to. We saw them do that with Ten Hag last spring. Remember, we
hmm,
did videos last spring looking at some of these managers that we were linked to as well. But today, they Ineos have their options. You guys probably have your options. Dylan and I have our options, and we're going to go through those today. We've got 8 managers that we're going to talk about today. We're going to do a little bit of a deep dive in each one. We are going to look at pros, cons, their history, their tactics. We're going to look at 6 different criteria. You guys remember the video I put out last year, What Makes a Good Manager? We kind of looked at some criteria. I've gone ahead and rated each of these managers in that criteria. I've got a little bit of a graphic that we'll share for each one as well, so you guys can kind of see it from a visual representation. So keep that in mind. So this is also putting aside the whole caretaker options. We did a little talk about caretaker options the other day in the news roundup. Guys like Ollie, Carrick. These are the managers that we think, okay, these guys could be here for a couple of years, hopefully, if everything goes right, right? So
hmm.
that's what we're going to talk about today, you guys. Any thoughts before we get started, Dylan?
Nope, just ready to go. We're excited to do this.
All right. First and foremost, though, I am going to address. I'm going to get involved in the chat real quick and see who's here. So, big up, Danny. Hope you're doing well, man. Big up, Sanjay. Good to see Sanjay in here and alive. I'm willing to bet Sanjay is in some exotic location coming home from the bar. Let me know what's going on. Big up Teresa. Big up Rob Taft. Good to see you. Hope you guys are doing well. Mark, Box, how is everybody doing? Everybody get involved in the chat. What's going on in here tonight? I'm going to address first and foremost though, just because I want to kind of set the tone here, a respectful tone here. So Teresa, I did see this. I'm not going to ignore it. This is what we're talking about tonight. This is the topic of the show. No one's here to be disrespectful to Amorim. No one's here to bash Amorim. We're not even really talking about Amorim anymore. This is probably the last we're going to talk about it. So we are just covering our bases. We're being proactive, and we're having a fun little discussion. Like I said, most United fans are talking about this, so we want to talk about it with you guys. Just think of it like we're all just chilling at the pub talking. That's what this channel is all about. So no one's here to bash Amorim. No one's saying the players don't have responsibility. We've talked about that many, many times on the channel. The players have a major responsibility. We complain about it every single match week. I go in on each player's performance, the overall performance, and I give criticism where it's due. I give praise where it's due. You've been part of the channel for a while. You know that's true. But Amorim, like we said earlier, has a responsibility and accountability as well. He shares that load as well. There are things that he needs to do, and if he doesn't, he will get sacked. It's just the way it works with managers, just regardless, right? And so this is what we're talking about. I want you guys to have a good discussion. I'm not going to stop and check in as frequently with the chat. I will periodically, but if I do this with every chat, this video is going to be 3 hours long. So, but this is what we're talking about. So please don't derail the chat with complaining about it. Like, I'm not saying you're complaining. I'm just saying this, laying down a market here. This is what we're talking about. So we want everybody involved, but I don't want to have to stop and kind of sift through the chats like this anymore. So everybody get involved, be respectful, and just follow along. And hopefully everyone hangs out and sees what's going on. Lyle, big up, man. Good to see you again. Hope you guys are doing well. So what we're going to do is Dylan and I are going to take some turns here because we are going to go take a trip to Manager Vana, like Carvana, but for managers. And we're going to talk about this. So let's get started, Dylan. Dylan's going to kick us off, and he's going to handle like maybe the obvious one, maybe one of the most popular choices, but I'm going to let him take it away. So,
all right, everybody. So we have, and forgive me if you see me reading some stuff. These are from my notes I made a little while ago, but we'll start with the available one, as Sean has here, Xavi. Okay, so let's just think about Xavi. And the first thing I wrote down with my notes on this, he is not necessarily going to be rattled by everything with United, just because he's coming from arguably what is something a worse shit show in Barcelona in terms of how certain things are run, just because Barcelona, I don't know how they're staying afloat with certain things besides those economic levers or whatever they're doing.
Well, Xavi was a part of it, right? With
exactly. 100%. So he comes from a system playing in the Liga, playing for the big clubs. He's not going to be rattled by United. It will be different because Premier League is always going to be different, and it's United, but he does have experience working with it. So that's a positive for him. Plus, as Sean and I have mentioned when we talked about it before, he's available. He's a free agent.
Yeah.
So we don't. We just had to buy Amorim out. We could just sign him and his staff, and that would work out really well. He plays a possession-based game with that, and his formations are flexible with that possession-based game. Tendency to play more of the high percentage passes, which our players tend to do anyway with the back passes and have a history of those looping passes. But he would get quicker rotations through there. He has experience with 3-4-3 and working with the congested midfield. That would be the one key point in terms of what we have available right now that could cause him problems with the type of system that he likes to run, because he likes to have a midfield that does well and that controls the whole the center of the pitch. We have some players that kind of fit that mold, but Casemiro's a little bit older. Kobe's still too young. We haven't seen what Sekou Kone could do. Bruno's best position is a farther upfield. So we're a little bit in flux there and see what might happen.
He plays a very Spanish style 3, right? It's very pass and move, find the space kind of thing. Yeah,
exactly.
I got you. I hear you.
He also has, as we all like to see, he's got trophy experience. He's won La Liga. He's won the Supercopa de España. He's been in the Champions League. He's taken Barcelona deep. He also got beat by United and Ten Hag in the Europa League when Anthony had that. 20
I
22,
remember that.
23. Yeah, just
I remember that. That was
Anthony
that I
come
was
off the
yeah.
bench and do that.
I was watching
That was a fun one.
I was watching that at a restaurant because
Yeah.
we lost power, and when Anthony scored that goal with his right foot, by the way, I flipped out. All my stuff went off the table because what that meant too, Dylan, was that Justin and I got to go to Europa League match that season too. That meant we
Hmm.
got to go to Real Betis as well. So, sorry,
Nice.
little fun fact. Continue.
No, you're good. That was cool. I remember you telling me about that, and that just sounds fun. And now I see there's a waistcoat that I need to check out that I haven't looked at
You
today. So,
waistcoat, take my money. I haven't made a waistcoat yet.
um, but a couple other things to just note on Javi. He likes to get the attacking width, which would be good for with that Spanish style runs. If we can get Mbumo out there, if we can get some of the wing backs out there, we can get more men into the box. Shesko could thrive in that type of system. Bruno could make the late runs in. Mount can make the late runs in. Cunha, whomever can make those or attack from wide. And the other big thing along with this, he's a former elite player. He's won as a player. That will be, I would hope, if I'm a player looking at that, if I'm on the United team and I'm looking that Xavi comes in there, he's been in the locker room. He has the experience. Okay. He's won on the biggest stages. That says a message. And he's won as a manager on the biggest stages.
Mm-hmm.
He does know he has a little bit more to pull upon than some of the other managers might just because of where he's been, what he's done. So he would be, he's been the hot name in the, that we've been hearing about lately. I know we've heard a lot of stuff from like Fabrizio and everything like that. So Xavi is the first one because he's available that I think would be one to take a look at with this.
And I noted too that he's got when he was at Barcelona, he had a 51% clean sheet record. So that's not just like 51%. No, 51% of the time nobody scored a goal against them. Like defensively, like solid,
Mm-hmm.
which I do think has been a little bit of an issue for us. Obviously, we I don't know how we have
100%.
three center backs and two fullbacks basically, and we still look even more vulnerable defending balls in the box, putting pressure on the ball carrier. It just I don't get it. So I like that. Like you're saying, that three-man midfield could shore us up a little bit. Like I've said many times, when I push a 3-5-2, just put an extra body in there. That could help us not be so exposed. Again, it's systems. We can't have the players that play a system that we want to play now. Just let's get a numbers game going. No, it's a good breakdown. Did you have any? I know I had some potential negatives as well. Did you have any that you wanted to share?
The biggest one I mentioned is his. He wants to play with that midfield,
Yeah.
and when they do that, because we have such a weak midfield, his preferred style of play isn't. We're not going to see that right away.
Yeah.
So, is that going to affect the mentality, the locker room when we can't play that system? How much is he going to adapt? How much is he going to stick with what he knows and then try to fix the problems as he goes? That would be similar to what we're seeing with Amorim in that particular regard, trying to figure that out.
So,
that would be the biggest one for me.
Yeah, he's a little like Pep in that regard, where the way he wants to play is really dependent on having like very, very good players. And he has expensive tastes at Barcelona. I mean, it is Barcelona, so you can, but he was trying to push them to sign players like Cavaradona. He did push them to sign Danny Olmo and whatnot. Like, he has some expensive taste. He has praised Bruno publicly in the past. He calls him a warrior mentality. He's also very young, right? As a manager, he's got a couple years of experience, and I think people underestimate just the value of having experience, especially like, let's say Amorim, for instance, 40-year-old manager. I think that when you're losing against guys who are in their 50s who've been managing for 15, 20 years, I think that there's a little bit of context there. Like, we wouldn't expect like an 18-year-old like young player fresh from the academy to like go up against a 27-year-old midfielder and win that battle, right? Like, context there. And so, yeah, no, this is a good little breakdown. I do like that he basically, not only did he help Barcelona, this is where crisis management comes in, right? It's like he basically, amidst all that, like, financial issues, he basically saved them by just promoting players like Pedri, for instance, Fermin Lopez, for instance. He was the one that brought in Lamine Yamal, for instance. Like, like rebuilding with that youth, I think would go over really well with United. Like you probably see guys like Shea Lacey, Ibrahimoff, and stuff
Hmm.
in and around the first team picture before long if Xavi would have come in.
Oh
So
yeah.
I think if we managed to bring in at least two class center midfielders, Xavi's system would work very, very well.
Oh, 100. Yep.
Um, it'd probably be a little smoother. So, and he has publicly said he wants to go to a club where he can be there for like 4 years. So he's in it for the rebuild. He's in it for the
Hmm.
rebuild. So, um, Rob says, did Xavi crumble under the Barcelona spotlight? So this is, I don't know if you have, I mean, I know what happened to Barcelona. Did you want to, Chad, do you want to answer that, or do you want me to take that one?
I don't know if he necessarily crumbled in terms of he just. It seemed more like the management. Uh, they weren't necessarily going to listen to him anymore. Like there was a disconnect at some point.
Yeah.
The administration for Barcelona just they weren't seeing eye to eye, and Javi kind of pulled a little bit of a Mourinho, started to
Oh yeah.
complain a little bit,
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah, that just this relationship fractured. So had they stayed on good terms, I think
Yeah.
they would have been. He'd still be
He
there right now.
he
But
was gonna leave at one point, and then he
mhm,
was set to stay, and then basically he came out publicly and basically aired the dirty
that's what it
laundry in
was.
terms of
Yeah.
their finances, which Laporta did not like.
Hmm.
So he wasn't like sacked, like he couldn't handle it. He just did not like he wasn't shy about the financial stuff. It is what it is. So as promised, I got these criteria here. So you guys remember these videos? These are going to be criteria we're going to look at for everybody. We've got man management, tactics, trophies in your CV,
Hmm.
delivering results, decision making, and then we've got crisis management, i.e., the finances and whatnot. So as you can see, Xavi, he's got some trophies. He's very young as a manager, though. So he got, obviously, Dylan said he won La Liga, he won the Super Cup. He's not got a huge trophy haul yet because he's not been doing it for a while. Clearly, he's got tactics. He does a very Barcelona possession heavy 3-man midfield
Hmm.
movement, short passes, exploit the space. Um, he does struggle a little bit when he doesn't get kind of the players that he wants, but he did really well with the kids. And the players seem to respect him. It does seem like he's got the support as well. He did really well with bringing through the youth, like I said, in terms of crisis management. But again, without those top players, he has struggled in the past. And so interesting stuff, to say the least. But struggled in Champions League a little bit at certain points as well. But Xavi to me is if I had to choose right now, I wouldn't say no, but I would have preferred if he'd had a couple more years of experience. But
Yeah.
because he is young, he's only in his mid 40s. What are you guys saying in here?
Hmm.
Right here, Rob Taft says the assistant manager needs UK experience, away cup trips to the likes of Grimsby. Yeah, we need to know how to win dirty, man.
Hmm. Ain't nothing wrong with winning dirty.
I mean, better lucky than good sometimes. So,
Exactly.
well, that was a good little breakdown of Xavi. What are you guys saying about Xavi here in the chats? I know you guys are saying he's a class player. He's probably one of the best midfielders I've seen.
Hmm.
That Barcelona team was absolutely stacked to the
That
rafters.
was
Iniesta, Messi, Puyo, Piqué, Danny
Busquets.
Alves, Jordi Alba, Busquets. Like, oh,
Hmm.
like this is a cheat code in itself, man. Like, yeah, I
Hmm.
won't. I'm not giving Suarez, and you'll never hear me give Luis Suarez praise. So, fuck that guy.
Twat.
So, any final thoughts on Xavi?
Nope. Just I think we've laid out a pretty good argument for him, like what he can bring, what issues he may have. But yeah, I think he would definitely be someone to consider in the final couple. So.
Yeah, and like you said, I think the availability and the fact that Ineos already reportedly spoke to him last spring, I think that is puts him ahead of the curve a little bit.
Hmm.
So, um, all right, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna take my turn here. You guys, make sure you like and make sure you subscribe, make sure you share, and make sure you guys check out those memberships as well. So I've got one here, probably not the most popular option, but these are in no particular order. So the English one, if you can't tell, I got like a Mourinho vibe going on here with the titles. So but we're looking at the English one, not necessarily just because he's PL proven, but because he's an English manager. You don't see a whole lot of English managers these days. In the Premier League, you rarely see English owners either. It's just, I think, how many English owners are there in the club? I don't know if this is kind of thing. So, but yes, Eddie Howe. If you'd asked me a year ago, I'd probably have flat out said no to Eddie Howe. But I don't think he's as ridiculous as an option as some people think this year. Obviously, looking at his win percentage, most of these managers, people think you want a manager with like 60 or 70% win. That's very, very rare. If you get someone who's got like a 50 to 55% win ratio, that's pretty good. Um, Plays a 4-3-3 system. Obviously,
Mhm.
we've got that midfielder Bruno, Joe Linton, and Sandro Tonali, which is a very good midfield. Likes to be compact, likes to be hard to break down, press high up the pitch, get that ball wide, get it forward. Pretty much a lot of things that we've said I'd like to see at United a little bit more. Just won the Carabao Cup this past year, and did get win promotion by winning the championship about 10 years ago. So not a ton of trophies, right? But the way he handled Liverpool in that Carabao Cup final was a thing of beauty. That 4-3-3 will shift to a 4-5-1 or 4-2-3-1. So he's got a little bit of flexibility. He's got a little bit of adaptability, something that we criticize some managers for. But he does like to build out from the back. Again, create that width from his fullbacks, exploit those channels, exploit those half spaces, and transition quickly. Very just right now with what the Premier League is doing. This is what a lot of these clubs are doing right now. Quick transitions, win that ball mid. He shown some patience on the pitch, but he's also shown that he can play those direct balls when necessary. So again, a little bit of variety to the way they play. But he's what I like about him is he's very good at making his sides difficult to break down. He makes his
Mhm.
defenses hard to beat. Um, his
And
Go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say it's talking with that point of making his sides hard to beat. I mean, remember he was 5 years at Bournemouth, kept them up in the Premier League, limited budget, using the players through the academy. He knows how to win dirty,
Yeah,
so he's got that in his back pocket too.
and I think it seems like he's getting better.
Hmm.
If I have to say, but just since he got to Newcastle, I feel like he's
Oh
upped his
yeah.
game.
Hmm.
Um, and those attackers again helps when you have your attackers kind of drop deep to block off those passing lanes as well. Something we've seen like Liverpool do to us in the past too, is to make it
Hmm.
hard to build out. So I like that a lot. Um, what I like most about him is honestly what confused the hell out of me, especially last season, is he's got the most out of players who, like, on paper compared to other clubs, like they just aren't elite players. I've been saying this for a
Hmm.
couple of years. Like, I don't know how he's doing it with Newcastle, but he's doing it, and I think that that's an underrated quality. Moving Joe Linton to midfield, moving Dan Burn to left back,
Hmm.
etc. These are like on their own, they're like that's a weird decision, but it works. It seems like he recognizes some qualities and he's able to maximize those. Something that I'd like to see Amram do a little bit more. He plays energetic football, fast-paced football. I think United fans will love that. He plays youth guys like Lewis Miley, Livermento, Alex Murphy, Alfie Harrison. He's brought all those
Hmm.
players in, and he's not afraid to have a go at some of the bigger teams. The Arsenal match recently, he handled Liverpool again in that Carabao Cup final, 4-1 at home against PSG in the Champions League. Like, he doesn't just sit and park the bus when he's up against a top team. He just plays their football, which I
Hmm.
have mad respect for. Um, Now he did sign a new contract not too long ago. I think it runs for another 2 years. I want to say till 2027. So it's not as like he's going to be like free or anything like that. He still does struggle a little bit, Eddie Howe, when some of his best players are kind of injured or they're not in good form. Um, but he's made it work. He lost Isak, and it looks like Woltamata has slotted right in without any issues. Right? I mean, he just scored again recently. I think over the weekend as well. So um, he's even shifted formations at times when he's lost key players as well. Again, adaptability. I think he does rely a lot on fitness, physicality, intensity. I think that he's going to find those lacking from this United squad. So it would take a while. But he does have. He's been praised for what he's done to that Newcastle dressing room. The culture that he creates in the dressing room has been top. There's a lot of unity there. They fight for each
Hmm.
other. They fight for the badge. They fight for their manager. They fight for the fans. I think that I have to respect that. They are guilty of conceding a few late goals, so he's dropped a couple points because of that, switching off in the final moment. So he's got to figure that out as well. But he's also been linked to the England job for the last couple of years. So we'll see what happens. And it might be hard because we're not exactly on good terms with Newcastle these days. So that might be a
Yeah.
battle to get him out of there. Looking at how he stacks up on criteria. So obviously, man management, what he did in that dressing room, top notch. Delivers results like you see. He makes really good decisions, I think, when it comes to team selection and tactics. Trophies, obviously, just the Carabao Cup so far, other than that championship trophy 10 years ago. So he doesn't have a lot of trophies, but I think you can see that they're definitely doing something. If Newcastle weren't so hamstrung with PSR, you never know. They are the richest club,
Mhm.
so it's like it's interesting. But like I said, Eddie Howe, if you'd asked me a year ago, I don't know if I would have been all for it. But I don't dislike him. He was my first choice, but he's definitely not an out there choice.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Danny says he likes Eddie Howe. Yeah, I think he's not the worst manager ever. Right? Definitely for me, he's probably on this list. Maybe like the top half of the list for sure. We'll see what everyone's saying here. Um, Lyle says definitely quality. United will swallow him whole. You guys are funny. Sanchi, welcome back, man. Sanchi says if Amorim gets sacked, should Omar Barada also be sacked? Well, Omar Barada's not, doing team selection and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's up to you guys. You guys let me know. Rob says, yeah, how's Copewell was selling in like St. Maximin, Isaac as well. Yeah, he's kind of in the same situation that we are. I'm sure that Ten Hag didn't want to sell McTominay, but we kind of had to, right? So,
Mhm.
um, but let's see what you guys are saying here. Just getting caught up here. Yeah, Danny, 4-1 at home in Champions League. So, you have any thoughts on Eddie Howe before I kick it back over to you here?
No, he's got that grit that would be nice to instill in the team. I mean, you keep Bournemouth up for 5 years by the skin of your teeth, even getting a top 10 finish. Was that 15, 16 or something? He was ninth one year.
Yeah.
And he got them playing really well before financial things and injuries kind of hurt everything. But he's got the grit, he's got the determination. He's somebody I think like you were talking about that could unite the dressing room, and for a lot of the team, yeah, he definitely would have, and that's a big one. Um, I think he's somebody that would earn the players' respect a little bit more. Um, and that would keep the dressing room united. So again, somebody I just don't see him leaving Newcastle, but he's somebody to look at.
Yeah, he
Maybe
said
if England calls.
as long as he feels supported in Newcastle, he doesn't plan to leave. So I
Yeah,
don't know what feel supported means, but we'll see. Money talks. Never say
yeah,
never in football.
exactly.
So,
Hmm.
you guys get any last thoughts? You guys have? It sounds like a lot of people really rate Eddie Howe. Like I said, if you'd asked me a couple years ago, especially when we were still in that mode of buying like the shirt sellers and stuff, I don't know
Yeah.
if he would have coped quite well with guys like Ronaldo and Cavani and Pogba on the side. Not to diss those guys, but I'm talking about managing egos. But now I think he would work better with the kind of personalities that we're trying to sign, the resilience, the mentality monsters, the intense
Hmm.
players. I think that he would really thrive with these kind of profiles that we're targeting. So um, let's see. Bach says How would bring him in winning team shot photos from the dressing room as well. You guys are funny. Danny's watching the Under 20 World Cup. Yeah, Gilberto Moro played the night, man of the match, I think. So you guys know we scouted him as well, playing for Mexico. What's Warbzo saying? Big up, Warbzo. Good to see you again. Said, I don't think our tides change, so we clear out the rest of these players like Maguire, Dallo, Shaw, and Bruno. Need to see that leadership team in the dressing room. Yeah, like we spoke about that at the start of the show. The players are not without blame, but Amorim,
Hmm.
if he doesn't make some changes to the way he's managing and stuff, I think this is where we're headed. So,
Hmm.
but big up, Warbs. Good to see you again, my friend. Let's move on. Let's kick it over to Dylan. He's gonna chat. He's gonna chat about the rumored one. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. All right, Unai Emery. We all know of Unai Emery for very varying reasons. His stops at PSG, his stops at Arsenal, his current situation at Aston Villa, and let's not forget his masterclass at Villarreal, where they just seem to win every Europa League there for
Yeah,
like 5 years.
I call him Mr.
Uh,
Europa League, basically.
yeah. So Unai Emery, we know more about him. Remember, he helped push for Rashford to go for last year to Rashford fit on the left there. Rashford looked a little bit better, but still kind of lost some of his mojo. I think it was more of an English football thing for him. But he's Premier League proven. He's managed at Arsenal and he's managed at Aston Villa. He's done well with both. Okay, Arsenal. It was I think, and this is just me looking at the manager. Fuck Arsenal, but I don't think Arsenal gave him a fair shake. I think they looked at it and it was like, oh, he didn't win enough. We're going to pull the trigger and get rid of him. I think if they would have kept him, they probably not that they're not doing poor, not that they're doing poorly right now. I think they probably get another trophy if they keep him around, at least one.
If they had backed
Um,
him like they backed Arteta, I think it would have been a
yeah,
different story because they allowed Arteta to clear out a lot of those guys. So
yeah. We know that he's going to work well with players. I mean, you kind of see the renaissance with John McGinn coming into the team. McGinn was always good, but he's like a world beater now. So he'll be able to get the best out of the players. He's going to prepare really, really well. He's going to have meticulous preparation and work with that and expect that from the players. So they're not going to be caught out and not know what to do. Like you have in the graphic there, he plays the 4-2-3-1 or a 4-2-2, but he's got flexibility, and he works to have that defensive shape for midfield runs, off the ball movement like you have there to keep them solid. You could see when he came in after Gerrard got sacked, the twat that he was, um, um, that their defensive solidity immediately increased for Aston Villa, and they started to keep more clean sheet. They look better going forward. So he's going to bring a structure and a play style that will be more familiar, but also more solid. So and if we look at his accolades and titles, I mean, he's won things. That's something that's impressive. He may not have won the Champions League, but he's won he's won League One. He's won the Europa League, as we said. He's won several different other trophies in the French league, which you can say is a farmers league, but you just got to win it.
I mean, people like we say like he's won Europa League. He won 3 Europa Leagues in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, a couple years after that, like he just took a year off because he's like, oh, that was boring. And then he came back and did it right. He came into a Villa side that was literally in relegation and got them qualifying for Europe. Like, it's insane.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I
He's
just want to stop real quick. I got a Sanchi,
no, yeah.
absolute legend, popping up with a super chat. He wants to know how important is the support staff a manager gets with him, as Amorim's biggest downfall was due to his support staff. What do you mean his coaching staff? Because he those are his coaches, so they were helping him at Sporting. I mean, in modern football, like even back in Fergie's day, like Fergie, Ollie, they didn't tackle the training. The training was done with the coaches, and even Amorim now, people criticize Amorim for like walking around in training. The coaching staff typically is the one who will handle the training for managers.
Mm-hmm.
It's more rare for a manager to take an active role in that than it is for the coaching staff to be in there. And so I do think it is important. We saw Jose fall apart when Rui Faria kind of left. Jurgen Klopp's assistant left, I think, things like that. So it is important. How important it is, I don't know. I'm not a manager, but it is important. I think people also in that, they kind of overestimate how much a manager does do in those kind of things. So, but big up, Sanchi, for the super chat, man. Big up. Thank you.
Definitely. Appreciate that, man.
Sorry, Dylan.
No, you're good. The couple of things that would cause some problems for Emery because of his meticulous preparation. I get the feeling, just some things I've read and everything like that, when I've looked at the Athletic on some of these articles, with the meticulous preparation, it's a lot of drilling, and it's a lot of you do it till you get it right. I feel like that was a Ten Hag thing, and we saw how well that went after a while. The players just tuned it out. I don't know if these players would fit his system very well. I also don't know if they're going to give him time to implement some of the things that he likes to do, with some of the off-ball movement and the defensive shape, just based on we got to get the win now sort of mentality, just to like get in a better position. So Emery's one to look at, but I don't know if he's necessarily the one that we'd want. So
he's a bit mercurial when it comes to opinions. I think he's getting a bad rap, and I think that Villa kind of left him hung out to dry, because if you look at what he was doing with Villa when they had players and they weren't struggling and they weren't being fined and punished, he did very, very well. They were killing people. They were qualifying for Europe. And then it was just like, because of PSR, he's been hamstrung. He just has, like, there's no way around it. And I'm not saying that but he's been managing long enough where he's, unlike someone like Xavi or even Amorim, I would expect him to maybe have a better response to that kind of thing. Now, obviously, you're going up against Premier League. It's not La Liga even. Every club in the Premier League is like stacked with cash. They've all got really good players. It's not like that in La Liga and whatnot. And I think what he would have perhaps the biggest issue with is he likes to have a lot of say, a lot of input in the transfers, similar to like Ten Hag.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just not going to get that anymore at United, not with the new structure, not with the way we're doing anything. That's why we're
Yeah.
calling him head coach now, not manager. I don't think that he would like that as much. I think that he would
Yeah.
probably clash a little bit. So not everybody gets blood from a stone, so I don't. It's not a strike against him that he's struggling with Villa's financial issues. It is what it is. I know he is contracted to 2029, so he's got a long way to go. However, if Villa don't find a way out of things right now, he could very easily um, get sacked, and I don't think it would be entirely his fault personally.
No.
Let me scroll down here.
Can
So this, go ahead.
can I also just say before we do the analysis, he brings a little style and class to the touchline with the suits, with the way he conducts himself. I really appreciate that from the manager. I mean, I don't know. When I was coaching, I always wore a shirt and tie. I thought it looked professional. Not
There you
saying
go.
that's any you get everybody dressed the way they want, but that's just my preference. That's just me. Just saying.
I just go full red
So
sweater, Bobby Knight, just throwing chairs at everybody, kind of
there
thing.
you go. Hey, do it. You get a response.
So this is where Unai Emery stacks on my matrix of criteria, as I'm starting to call it here. Obviously, tons and tons of trophies, like tons of trophies. 4 Europa
Hmm.
League, domestic cups, Ligue 1, like amazing. So he's got some heavy collapses and some fizzling out in the Champions League and stuff. Arsenal obviously were not great, but so it's not perfect, but he's got among the managers that are up for grabs in this list. He's probably got the most trophies. Good
Yeah.
tactics. He's got good discipline, good transitions, flexibility as well. He's at Villa. He's often been singled out for being able to dominate games or being adaptable. So the criticism is just what happens when things start to go wrong and they're not working. He kind of can not respond to that very well. But he does really well managing the players. I know a lot of people were happy with him at Villa. Not everybody was happy at Arsenal, but at Arsenal, he did not work with great personalities, I think. Um, so I do like Emery. I think that he's underrated. Again, probably wouldn't. I'd
Hmm.
still probably have Eddie Howe over Unai Emery, but Emery's definitely not the worst option on the list, personally. Um, what are you guys saying in the chat? Matt Hatter says shirt and tie should be a requirement on the touchline, even players not playing on the bench. Remember when
Thank
players
you,
used
Matt
to
Hatter.
show up in the suit? That's funny.
Oh yeah.
Mark Harris says West Ham Liverpool didn't employ Amorim due to 3-4-3. United knew this and employed him. People who hired him. Well, you remember that it wasn't because they didn't believe in the system, Mark. It was because at Liverpool, they would have had to completely restart with another rebuild. Same thing at West Ham, basically. We were in a spot with new owners, new kind of structure and everything, new way of like this was the perfect opportunity for us to basically choose the culture and identity in the way we wanted to play. Liverpool would have had to rip up everything they'd done for the last decade and start all over brand new after just giving new contracts to players that wouldn't have really suit that system either. And so it's not just like, oh, you play a 3-4-3, we don't like you. It was like, oh, that means we're going to have to spend a lot of money. It's going to take a few years probably, and Liverpool just didn't want to do that. So, Franz, big up, new face in the community, guys. Make sure you like and make sure you subscribe. And says, not Ruud Van Nistelrooy. We need an experienced, no nonsense coach obsessed with winning. A lot of people wanted Ruud to come back as interim. We did that kind of poll the other day. Carrick basically won, so that one. So, big up, Lucky. Hope you're doing well, man. um, so, any final thoughts on Unai Emery, Count Chocula himself?
No, I think we laid it out pretty good. Again, he's one that somebody to consider, somebody to think about. I personally don't think he'd do as well at United. I think at Villa is more of the place that he tends to get better results from teams that are a little bit lower, like we saw with Villarreal, where he's going to be able to kind of go under the radar and work with his system, build that system up tactically and methodically prepare. And I don't know how that would translate to United and all the other commitments that go to that.
Yeah,
So,
I think he definitely deserves more praise for what he's done at Villa. And
100%,
I don't think that what's going on right
100%.
now is up to him. I think that's just down to finances. So,
But if he gets a tune out of Sancho second half of the year, he's manager of the year.
I forgot
So.
Sancho was there, to be honest with you. But honestly, Ollie didn't get a tune out of Sancho. Ten Hag didn't get a tune out of Sancho. Amorim didn't get a tune. I mean, he was already gone. But like, I think Sancho's issue is just
Yeah.
Premier League football, honestly. So, all right,
Yeah.
moving on. I'm going to do a two for here because I'm going to take over some of the Premier League proven guys, two guys that are probably top of a lot of people's lists. Starting with the PL proven one, Andoni Iraola seems to be the current kind of hot commodity in the Premier League. He seems to be the name on everyone's list. He's got a straightforward approach, kind of always begins from a basically a conservative 4-2-3-1, but shifts kind of to a 4-3-3 like we're seeing. Again, system is not formation, people. I feel sick to my teeth having to keep saying that. But obviously at Bournemouth, it's been very, very up and down at Bournemouth. He's still got just rocking under a 40% win ratio. But again, like most teams now, high press, quick transition, using the wide players. We saw it with Eddie Howe at Newcastle. You see it all over the place right now. It is the way to play these days. Managed in Cyprus, won a Super Cup there. He's been manager of the month twice, and he's got 3 Copa del Reys when he was managing in La Liga. I think it was Rio Vallecano, if I remember correctly. I can't remember now off the top of my head. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But he's also been runner-up a couple times in Europa League as well. So doing very, very well so far, all things considered. I didn't realize Bournemouth were still in 6th place after kind of a shaky start, but he really likes to use his wingbacks, again, use that with overloads, exploit those wide areas. But again, this also allows his team to make themselves a little more narrow when they're defending, because these defensive midfielders are going to drop deep, kind of like what I thought we were going to see with Amorim, where it would become a bit of a 4 in that you've got your 3 defenders, and then that one midfielder kind of sits deep to be a shield, and then everyone else kind of pushes forward. We haven't really seen that. We've just seen a big hole in midfield. Um, he plays a little bit varied play, obviously going wide, but they're not afraid to play these direct long balls as well. But he knows how to be compact. Sits in a 4-4-2, makes it really hard to break down, sit in that deep block, crowd those central areas, and forces his opponents to kind of play those wide balls. He likes to control where things happen on the pitch, and then they just try to win that ball and hit that counter. He does play a lot of youth.
Mm-hmm.
Bournemouth they had the lowest average squad age last season, I believe. So I think that our academy record would remain pretty well. Little bit shaky, like I said. His start to life at Bournemouth, not great. They went on like an 8 or 9 match run of bad results, and things were getting dicey. And then they kind of turned it around overnight. I believe Semenyo gave an interview and was like, it just clicked one day and everything worked out. I like his system. I think we would like his system, high energy, but I think it's one that I think we don't necessarily have the players for, and it can be exposed. We've seen this against City. We've seen this
Mm-hmm.
against Liverpool in the past. When you play a high press, even when we played the other day against Brentford, high press, you are very exposed at the back, and they can get caught out. They really rely on beating that first ball out, keep that ball and that possession contained, and when it doesn't work, you're going to be in some trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say my only. I agree with everything you're saying. My only thing is too, and we've talked about this a little bit. Like he's been at Bournemouth. He hasn't been at one of the major clubs.
Yeah.
So how would that affect how his tactics come across? How would he handle the pressures that come along with it? Um, I think that's one of like when we were talking about with Xavi. That's one of the things that um, is kind of like something that we're like, okay, that's really good to have because he has that big club experience.
Yeah,
So,
it definitely makes a difference. I think that there are a lot.
oh
That's
yeah.
why I put a poll in the chat. Like, what do you guys think is maybe the
Mhm.
most important quality? Like trophies, experience, tactics, or like man management and decisions with like team selection. So, what's that poll up to right now? Let me go check that out while we're at it. So far, or over half of you say that man management and decisions are most important. 31% of you say trophies and your CV, and then 8 and 8 for experience and tactics. Yeah, and then like what you do with the small clubs is a big deal as well. And like it's like
Mhm.
Rob saying here, like he had an excellent season last year. Like they looked amazing last season, but his legs were completely cut out from under him this summer. Kirkes, Uatara,
Yeah.
Hausen,
Yeah.
Zabarnier, all these guys sold this summer. They brought in Trufer from the French league. Senesi has come back into the fold into that starting back in the back line, and he's an excellent underrated defender in my opinion. And they're still 6th right now, despite all
Mhm.
the shit. So again, um, he's still young. He only just retired playing like 10 years ago. So again, I do wonder if the step up would be too much from Bournemouth to United. It's not like you're coming from like Spurs or something to United. This is Bournemouth. And his CV is not exactly riddled with silverware, kind of like Arteta, basically. It's not there's not a
Yeah.
whole lot in there, and doesn't really have a really good win percentage personally. But he
No.
did bloody a few noses in the Big Six last season as well. Got some really good results, and so I just a question if he's ready for the next step, if he's too good for Bournemouth, or would he be just another like David Moyes or Ruben Amorim or Ten Hag?
Hmm.
Those Ten Hags, like Ajax, are a way bigger club than Bournemouth, and it was too big a step for Ten Hag, I think. So um, it's you never know until you take the chance. I think it's hard to know. It's like a transfer. So Iriola on my matrix here. Trophies 5 out of 10. Again, he doesn't really have a whole lot of trophies. He's got promotion to La Liga, and then he's got some other little silverware here and there, but I mean, he's got good results, not a whole lot of trophies, and so I think that's a big factor to consider. Got really good tactics. I think his progressive, energetic style, those quick transitions, pressing wide with building out from the back, it's good.
Hmm.
He's got a way of getting the best out of the players he really shouldn't. He has no right to get this much out of. Really good man manager, really good presence, calming, really friendly in the dressing room, gives the players freedom while also implementing a structure. And he's got a buy-in from the players. The players are buying in, and a lot of Bournemouth players have come out and said as much as well. Really good, I think, at managing those crises, helping Bournemouth get out of that slump and turn them into basically just bogey side for a lot of teams. And again, rough start, losing all these players, and still somehow is in sixth place. So he's really,
Hmm.
really good at that. Um, good tactics, good decision making. Still young, so he's going to be. There are going to be times where he's going to be caught out being a little bit too safe, maybe still learning on the job. But I don't mind if you're young, and I don't mind if you make mistakes. I don't mind if you're learning. You have to show that you're learning. You have to show that you're willing to admit, I'm young. I don't know it all yet. I have to be willing to adapt. Even Pep came to the Premier League and adapted. Um, and so I like Areola a lot. Still probably wouldn't be my first choice personally. Let me see what you guys are saying here
Yeah.
in the Chizat. Mark's got praise for Emery. He's a winner. Um, Mark says maybe academy players need to change their academy or nationality to Portuguese. Interesting. Um, Let's see, guys, if you're wondering what choices, remember, I will post a link to an online poll after this goes live. I want you guys to have all the options first, and then you guys can go follow that link, go vote, and then we'll talk about that probably early next week and see what the results are. So make sure you go to that poll. It'll be posted right after we're done here, so keep that in mind. Let me just get caught up on the chat and see. You guys are chatting about Ruben here. You guys are chatting to each other. I'm going to let you guys keep chatting to each other. So any final thoughts on Iriola, Dylan? Because I'm going to jump into my next guy once I'm done here.
No, you summed him up very well. He's one that I've just mostly seen at Bournemouth. Yeah, one that I mentioned. I'd wonder how he'd do at a bigger club, but he got to admire his tactics, got to admire what he does,
Yeah.
got to admire what he's built at Bournemouth. So especially like you were saying with the just losing all the players over summer and how he
Yeah.
just basically kept the ship going. So
Crisis management for me is one of to me, that's a very important criteria, but at the same time, it's one that probably has the most context because, like we talked about Unai Emery,
yeah,
crisis management, PSR, that's a crisis. Iriola, Bournemouth selling his
yeah,
entire back line. Like, this isn't a crisis that has to, like, that's anything that he's done, right? But he's managed his way out of it. And I think that's a really good. And at a club like Bournemouth, it's a huge deal to be able to do that. So,
hmm
um, let me just see if anyone has any other thoughts on this before I move it on down the line. Nope, you guys are good. Keep up. Let me go from one PL proven guy to the other PL proven one. I could have gone with the other and just put caught L, but Eddie Howe put me up, but I didn't want to do that. So Dylan has graciously allowed me to take over one of his top guys, and Oliver Glasner, probably for me up there near the top of my list right now. Um,
I'm super biased, so this isn't even.
Probably why he's letting me do it because he'd probably be just drooling at the mouth. So obviously, Crystal Palace manager, pretty good win percentage and the win percentage, by the way, I mean it's not just where they're at now. This is through their entire career, so
Mhm.
keep that in mind. Plays a formation that a lot of United fans are not too happy about, which is surprising that so many United fans are happy with Glasner because so many complained about the three at the back for nearly a year now. Um, but again, like other managers who are working with what they have, again, high press, quick transitions, flexible. Like we're seeing a lot of the same things. So he's won the league in the second division of the Austrian league. He did win that Europa League with Eintracht Frankfurt. I think they played Rangers in that final, if I remember correctly. Um, and just
Mhm.
recently won the FA Cup as well. Basically, just handling City. You can count the Community Shield if you want to. I don't count the Community Shield if you want to. Um, it's very similar to Andoni Iraola in that he's relatively new to English football, right? But where he has Iraola beat is trophies, like you see Europa League and FA Cup. Kind of like Ten Hag winning that FA Cup in his first time of asking. So big up. Um, in his first season at Palace, he coached them to their biggest win as well, beating Aston Villa 5-0. Like he's got a lot of these kind of records at Crystal Palace right now. 6 wins from their last 7 matches in his first season. Highest ever points tally. He equaled their highest ever points tally in that season, and he got them winning 4 consecutive games on the bounce for the first time ever. So a
Mhm.
lot of firsts for them. The FA Cup was their first as well. The second year, he's already doing that. He helped them achieve their best ever points total last season too, with 53 points. So again, he's just kind of going. It's kind of like what we saw with Ten Hag a little bit, what we saw with Amorim, what we saw even with Tuchel and whatnot at Bayern. He's getting the most out of this, and he's kind of elevating Palace to another level on his own
Mhm.
almost, if you want to look at that. Again, upset Man City in the FA Cup final, but hey, we do that too, so hey, it's cool. Which was Palace's first ever major trophy, though, so that's a big deal. Just beat Liverpool again the other day in the Premier League as well, so he's got a nasty habit of beating Big Six
Yeah.
sides, which I like.
And as a result, they are the only undefeated Premier League team left.
Exactly.
So,
He's doing a very good job right
mhm.
now. Again, that 3-4-2-1, but his again formation is not system. It is more adaptable depending on the situation as well. Look
Mhm.
at that cup final, how they approach that. The aim, though, what I like from him, and this is the glaring difference between system and formation, is if you look at our midfield versus the way Glasner sets up his midfield is near impossible to break down. He makes them very compact, very deep. He doesn't sit like low block
Mhm.
Jose Mourinho. It's more of a low mid block. It's very difficult to just break through with a 1 or 2 pass, which I really like. The aim is to be compact, win that ball, transition quickly, create those overloads, especially in those wide areas. He turned Munoz into that wingback and said, "No, you're a wingback." I like that. But he's also another manager who expects intensity and physicality and energy from his
Mhm.
players. So again, another manager who might be in for a rude awakening at United. If you want to go a bigger, more in-depth analysis of the difference between Glasner's 3-4-3 and Amorim's 3-4-3, AJ Analysis did a video. I think it was this morning. Really good breakdown. I always refer to AJ Analysis when it comes to tactical stuff because he just like to me is one of the best. So I defer to the people who are better at that kind of stuff than me. So I'm not going to pretend, but um, where I respect Glasner's system and I like that it is adaptable and he will make changes if and when it's needed. He's also
Mhm.
played a 4-2-3-1, for instance, at Palace. Like he's able to do these things. And I think he gets a lot out of his squad, playing to their strengths, putting him in their best positions, in their best roles. And I think that that's something that Amorim has definitely struggled with. He's a little less rigid in that regard, Glasner, and I like that. He allows his players to be creative. He allows them to make mistakes because that fosters growth and development and learning, creative problem solving, critical thinking. These are underrated managerial skills. At Palace, he comes in, immediately brings in an identity. You can recognize the way they play, and he made them stronger, in my opinion. He's got good relationship with his players as well. Like there's a lot of boxes that Glasner ticks for me. Um, he does struggle a bit when Palace are struggling, and it's hard for him to maybe dig a way out of poor form. He's yet to be proven at a top club, but hey, Europa League and an FA Cup is a really good trophy haul for this guy in the last like 4 years alone. He is only contracted till this summer as well. Now, Palace are trying really hard to get him down. I think that the way they keep selling players without really replacing them is a big sticking point for him. I think he basically told them, "Stop doing this without replacing my players, or I'm going to walk." Basically,
Mhm.
um, And the sign that he hasn't signed a new contract, I think that that's telling right now. If Amorim, let's say Amorim is sacked hypothetically, and Glasner hasn't extended to Palace, don't be surprised to see some sort of links, some sort of reports. Indy Kayla reported that Glasner does like United and he would take the job. I know Ben Jacobs has said so as well. It is what it is. It's not gospel, but here's where Glasner rates on my matrix here. Obviously, the best one he's going to have is that delivering results. The guy just delivers
Mm-hmm.
results, good tactics, good man management as well. Like again, Europa League, FA Cup, excellent, especially considering the teams that he had and the teams that he beat along the way. Really good strong runs with Wolfsburg and European qualification with them as well. Not as many trophies as some other guys on this list, but really, really good for him. Good identity, good tactics, good counter pressing, flexibility. I like what I see from that. He's done that at a lot of clubs. He's shown that he can do that. Um, he is demanding, but he is honest and open with his players. He knows how to build trust and get support, and he knows how to motivate his players and get them to buy into what he's doing. I like what I see from him in terms of man management, crisis management. Took over Palace midseason, guided them to win the FA Cup. What else can you say about that? In at Frankfurt and Wolfsburg, he often overachieved, punched way above their weight. He actually came into Wolfsburg, realized that his tactics weren't doing it, changed tactics midseason, and turned things around. Like he shows that he's willing and humble enough to say, you know what, let's switch this up, guys. Um, I like a lot of what I see from Glasner. He's definitely up there near the top of my list. I'll share what my picks are towards the end. I'll let Dylan chip in while I go through the chat real quick. What do you got to say about your boy Glasner?
All right. Number one, first of all, how dare you say Wolfsburg's not a major club? My brother just went there. So, um, but no, you did a great job summing everything up. I mean, you hit like every point I would have talked about. And this is just me, guys. You know, we'd had one of the streams before. I'm a Wolfsburg fan. When he was at Wolfsburg, there was a sense like when he switched up, when he changed tactics, and they started to get results. Even before that, there was a sense that this guy knows what he's doing. Like he sounded confident in the pressers. He looked like on the touchline knew what he was doing. He made good changes with the man management. He got them into the Champions League, and the only reason he left was because there were disagreements with the board, and he was like, "I'm done." And so that, you know what, that could be something if he came to United. If they're not going to back him, he will stand by his principles and leave. Like he left Wolfsburg at the end of the season, just like, no, I'll go somewhere else. Immediately went to Frankfurt and won the Europa League. So
Yeah.
it's not like he can't go coach in these other places. The tactical discipline can be a little bit of a sticking point because he wants players to play the certain areas. We saw with Palace, it took a little while when he first came in. They kind of had a bad run right when he came in. They had the new manager bouts and a bad run, and just getting bedded in everything. And like you said, it took him a little bit to dig out of that. But now once they're out of it, he's just got them humming.
Yeah. It seems like
Um,
it takes him a second to figure it out, and then but when he does, like it's just
exactly.
he picks the
Yep.
right solution, basically.
And that's been at every place he's gone. Frankfurt took a minute. Like they basically didn't concentrate on the league because it took longer to figure out, but they figured it out for the Europa League and bam. Um, they want that tactical
Big up,
discipline.
Gary.
I think big up Gary. I think the big thing for him would be you know, Palace, Wolfsburg, the great Wolfsburg, Frankfurt. Um, um, those are a little bit, dare I say, smaller clubs. And so he can kind of put his imprint on those a little bit more. He can get that across and have his philosophies be put in there.
Yeah,
United's going to demand a lot more.
yeah,
And I think with the players that we have right now, they're not going to be able to play a system right away. It's going to take a while to get them at, even though we're playing like the 3-4-3 similar, it's going to be different. And so can he handle the pressure that's going to come along with that when, say results don't go his way? Can he get them to turn that around? I think he can. I really do. I think he's got the ability to do it. I don't know how other factors are going to affect that.
and I
So
think the big pressure is going to be like Crystal Palace, like you're saying, is not united. Frankfurt is
yeah.
not united. Will the fans be patient if we go on 8 or 9 match kind of run of poor form, for instance, where maybe
Hmm.
there's some losses and some draws with like 1 or 2 wins? Or will they be patient enough? Because we
Yeah.
generally aren't, and I don't think it's in isolation. If you took any one of these managers aside, maybe from Amorim recently, we probably wouldn't. But when we stack it all up over what we've had to deal with the last decade, I think that plays a big
Mm-hmm.
part in why we are so impatient. And it's a little bit unfair to put that on each new manager. It's like bringing baggage from a past relationship to a new relationship. It's not super fair, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So
I do think if the fans see, like, because a lot of times what we want is we want to see just buy-in and fight and improvement,
yeah,
and we're not, they don't, players don't, the team doesn't have to win every time. We get that. It's going to be sport. You're not gonna win every match, but what we want to see is, are they fighting till the end? Are they digging in? Are they picking up their bootstraps and saying, all right, let's go to work? And it seems at times we're just not seeing that with some of the players. So
yeah, and I've said many times, I get livid with these players when new managers come in and they show up after not showing up for the previous manager. Like, the players are not without blame here, but I do think that Glasner, I mean, I worry, with any manager, is just going to be the same shit, different day kind of a thing. It just is what it is. We just seem to be cursed in that regard. So we are about halfway through, you guys. A couple more to go. We're actually, I think that was number 5, wasn't it? I don't know. I'm not keeping track off the top of my head. So moving on, you guys. Make sure you liking. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Moving on. Let Dylan take it over with the next pick of the list, the young one.
what about Julian Nagelsmann? Okay, he's current head coach of the German national team. He was the coach at Bayern and RB Leipzig. So he has managed big clubs. You can say Leipzig is, but it's really more Bayern is the big one. He did all right at Bayern. Me personally, I think there were other things going on at that particular time that kind of undermined his management at Bayern. I think if he would have stayed longer, probably would have done better. Probably would have figured it out.
Was
But
that the same time that Bayern, like, a lot of their board were like leaving or whatever?
yeah, and they were in a transition period, and then
Yeah.
he had some personal life things going on too. I think his, I remember reading something, and it was just like, I think it was in Build or something, just came up because, of course, I'm following all soccer news. So he's a manager, so that came up. I think his girlfriend left him or something, and so
Yeah.
that was a big thing. Regardless, yeah, I think he would have done better if he would have had more time. But he's got the gegenpressing Ralph Ragnick style, so he's the disciple of Ralph, which, Ralph has been brutally honest about what United need to do. This could be kind of circling the wagons back towards that,
Yeah.
towards what needs to happen. He is tactically flexible, as Sean has with the formations 4-2-3-1, 3-5-2, which, Sean, how many times have you called for a 3-5-2 for our system?
I just strictly because of the lack of quality midfield, just throw another
Yeah,
body in there. You know how it is.
yeah, just something to change things up, like we've been looking at with Amorim, the counter pressing. He's big on the counter pressing with the gang press. Um, he does want to overload those central areas, get the attack play going quickly. Um, and he's possession based, which would be a problem for us because we tend to lose the ball very quickly. Who knows? Maybe he can change that. Um, Bayern. He had some issues with, like, it's the big club management that he's been at. I thought he did fine managing the team. He's got a Bundesliga. Okay, he did very well. He led them deep into the Champions League. Other things kind of coincided to cause him problems. United's going to be a whole cauldron different. Okay, there's not many other clubs you can look at and say they're at the same level of, not even like shit show, but like just craziness that is United. Barcelona, Real Madrid. Okay, those are the other two that I would put up there with, just there's such a demand with how you're going to manage. The leash is very short at times. So how would he handle that would be a big thing. And sometimes, and I remember watching this on a few of his matches when he was at Bayern, some of the teams did tend to overpress. Like, they would get caught in positions so that they could have the route one balls go over and they could get exposed on the counters.
And that's what we spoke
Would
about
that
earlier.
be an
You
infection?
can get caught out if you press that high and you don't win the ball.
Exactly. So that would be one thing, and especially for our defense, we're going to get exposed, and the keepers that we have right now, because apparently we only can play Bayern.
Don't get me started.
Regardless on that. But so yeah, Nagelsmann definitely want to look at. I don't know. I mean, he's prepping for the World Cup. I don't know if he'd want to take the step back into club management right now.
Maybe
But if
after
he,
the World Cup is
he's at
over.
least, yeah, it is at least worth a call and say, hey,
Yeah.
you interested in something? Because 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when he was at Bayern, before he moved there, when he was at Leipzig, I was like, get this guy. He
Yeah.
knows what he's doing. He's got a good tactical mind.
He was my
So
top pick before Amorim. When we were thinking about Ten Hag leaving, Nagelsmann was my top pick at the time. And like Rob
mhm,
says, yeah, he's not going to leave Germany. He wouldn't have to leave the German national team necessarily right away. He would come in probably after the
mhm,
World Cup. Thankfully, the World Cup is done this summer and take over. Whenever that ends. What is
mhm.
that, July or whatever? And be just fine.
Yeah.
Maybe we ask about coaching staff, and maybe there are coaching staff members that he knows that we appoint. They come in and kind of handle the shit until he gets here, basically. It wouldn't be that
Mhm,
difficult, but again, this is one of those guys you're going to have to wait to get an interim. He is just 38, so he's a year younger. He's younger than Amarim, younger than me, the prick. But even in his early 30s, even in his early 30s, what he was doing at Hoffenheim, what he was doing at Leipzig was already
mhm,
being spoken about in such high praise.
mhm.
You can't disregard that kind of stuff. So
Yep.
again, yeah, like you're saying, another disciple of Ralph Ragnick. I like that he gives his players a little bit of freedom, but also like a little bit of structure as well. Like you said, really good big team experience. Again, like you're saying, when he pushed that team high up, you can get exposed. He was criticized a little bit at Bayern for some of his constant. He was tinkering a little too much with tactics, even like during
Mhm,
matches. He was kind of making too many changes. It was like he was getting a little caught up, getting a little deer in headlights. And where some managers freeze, he was kind of trying to overcompensate a little bit. A lot of the Bayern players did not like that.
mhm.
And so maybe again,
Yeah.
young manager syndrome that is going to happen. So I wonder if the pressure would be a little too much at United. It's not like Bayern where you're the top team. United, literally anybody can beat you on any given weekend. It's just is what it is. So he didn't do too well with Germany in their qualifiers last month. 3 losses on the bounce. The third loss was against side ranked 52nd in the world ranking. So don't know what's going on there with Germany. Not every manager's good fit for international football. Doesn't mean they're bad, just means not necessarily a good fit, and that's not a bad thing
Yeah.
necessarily. So um, let's look at this criteria real quick. You have any final thoughts before I jump on this guy?
Nope.
All
I
right.
think we've done a good job summing that up. So.
Yeah, so he's got obviously his tactics are really good. He's been widely
Mhm,
praised for his tactics, his ability to adapt
mhm,
formations, his styles of press, his in-game stuff as well. And then what he's done with lower teams, kind of like what we saw with Glasner, just punching above their weight. I've even seen him compared to Guardiola in just the way that he kind of reads and views the game a little bit with tactics. Good CV, like I said, Bundesliga with Bayern Munich, although that's kind of expected, unless you're Thomas Tuchel. Multiple wins in Super Cups. He's got really good campaigns in the league. Champions League semifinal with RB Leipzig is an absolute like awesome achievement for him. I like what he does there. Struggles a little bit with the man management again. A lot of those changes, a lot of managing egos, even at Bayern Munich, that can be a difficult thing. Not handling a little pressure. So he does again. I think you see that a lot more with young managers trying to toe that line there. He's been out of playing for a while. I think broken leg or something took him out of the game when he was really really young. But crisis management, one of his better traits as well. What he did at Hoffenheim when they were about to get relegated, at Leipzig again, really good. He got quarterfinals with Germany in the Euros as well. So does really well.
mhm,
Sometimes they can struggle a little bit under pressure, so he's not perfect, but he's good in that. Decision making, good, not perfect. I think that he needs to not be so reactive and so panicky sometimes, and just back himself a little bit more. But he delivers results, and he does well with teams that are not expected to win. So I appreciate what I see from him there. So you guys get your thoughts in on Nagelsmann as we go on. Yeah, like Rob says, he's going to stay put. Yeah, he's not going to leave quite yet, but he could leave after the World Cup. So yeah,
mhm.
good job they're doing. I know the young manager thing. I'm always a little iffy with the young manager. I like experience a lot, so we'll see. But he was one of my picks, probably my pick before Ten Hag was
Mhm.
sacked. So moving on, I'm going to go to from one end of the age spectrum to another a little bit. The back 3-1. Simone Inzaghi. If you're tired of seeing a back three, you might want to look away a little bit. But he plays a different back three. He plays a 3-5-2, which I do think suits our system more. Currently at Al Hilal after spending a really good couple of years at Inter, obviously, a couple
Hmm.
of finals and whatnot. Obviously, they didn't. We don't talk about last year's Champions League final because that was absolutely atrocious. But what he accomplished with Inter Milan over the last couple of years had him at the top of a lot of United fans' lists last season, especially when Ten Hag started to hit that rocky patch. And I think that his system, again, the 3-5-2, it suits our players more because it allows both Bruno and Menu to come in and play eights instead of one of them having to play a six all the time. Push Bruno
Hmm.
just a little further ahead. I think you're going to get a lot more out of him. Um, what we got here? Gary jumping in. Hold on. Gary, big up, Gary. I want to see. I want to say what he says here.
Hey, hey.
Glasner says his favorite formation is 4-4-2, which puts me at ease if he takes over. Means he won't force a three at the back. Yeah, he's very adaptable. And again, formation is not system. He might line up in a 3-4-2-1, but in different game states and different phases of attack, attacking, defense, whatever, it's going to look different. He'll sit compact. What I like about Glasner most of all is while he plays the same formation as Amram, it is definitely more defensively compact and difficult to break down. So, but I appreciate that, Gary. Big up, man. Absolute legend. You distracted me though, so boo. Let me jump back into my notes here on Inzaghi. So again, 3-5-2, I think it suits us a little better. Really good win percentage, you see, but again, it gives us players a little bit of freedom. Likes getting that ball wide. Quick transitions again. He relies on his front two attackers to basically press the hell out of the defense. So require a lot of energy, a lot of aggression. Three Coppa Italias, three Super Coppa Italianas, one Serie A with Inter, Coach of the Year for Serie A in 2024. Again, and obviously Champions League finals as well. The guy has been there a lot, nearly as much as the next guy on the list. So, tactically, though, again, it's a lot of what we see from Amram. A lot of good movement from the wing backs, again, creating those overloads. Defenders stepping into midfield roles to build out from the back. Forwards, midfielders are kind of trading roles. But what we haven't seen from Amram that you're going to see from Inzaghi is adaptability to different changing situations throughout a
Hmm.
match. And that's how he's gotten to Inter punching above their weight in a lot of ways. He's a good man manager. He does inspire belief. What he got out of the Inter squad is a thing of beauty. And it extends beyond the dressing room, even just the coaching staff. And while he's an inspirational coach, um, one of his strengths, Inzaghi, has also been criticized as a potential weakness. It is that adaptability. It has seen him labeled kind of like Nagelsmann as a bit reactive, a bit kind of overly reliant on just like reacting to the situation in a bad way sometimes. Um, I've seen him criticized for being a little too passive in that he just like kind of like Mourinho, let's just absorb the pressure, and then hit him on the break. It can work. It can also be risky because it does just keep pinning you back. And if you get teams like Arsenal or City too much possession and too much time and freedom in and around the edge of your box and around your half, they will punish you at some point. He ended
Hmm.
up leaving Inter for Al Hilal after a trophyless season and a disgusting loss 5-0 in the Champions League final to PSG. Took that big money job at Al Hilal, took a 2-year contract. Now, the 2-year contract is why I wonder if he's gettable. Because we've seen players and managers basically dip out early from the Saudi league, which is why I think he's gettable. We saw Al Nasser just sack Laurent Blanc for losing to Al Hilal. Like the standards are a little different over there. Getting paid is a hassle in the in the Saudi league as well. So there's a very good chance he might just not want to deal with it anymore. So there is a little bit of a hurdle in that Inzaghi does not speak English. Like he doesn't speak English at all. But that's what Duolingo is for, right? So um, in terms of the criterion there, obviously he's got a ton of trophies. I like this. I would like him to have a major European trophy in there. I mean, but getting to finals is nothing to sneeze at. Like that's a big achievement.
Yeah.
That 3-5-2 is solid. It's dependable. It can break apart if the players are having a bad game, like we saw in the final. Demarco, one of my favorite players for left back position, completely had a stinker that match, and it literally led to that opening goal. Um, but he is flexible. He's very transition oriented. I like his attacking combinations. So he also gets a lot of buy-in from his players. Like again, that man management is very, very good, especially through big transitions. So I like what I see from him in that regard. He does have a way of getting his teams through difficult periods as well, getting them on title charges, good cup runs. But again, that It didn't help, I think, that the players knew, and it was pretty much announced by, I think Al Hilal announced that he had agreed to join them before the season was over with last year. And I think
Yeah.
like Klopp did his final season at Liverpool, I don't think that helped. We saw that happen with Fergie too when he initially announced his first retirement mid-season, and it led to a bad run of form. Fergie even said after the fact it was a mistake to announce it. Like that does have an impact, and so I think that didn't sit well with some of the players and whatnot. Um, Decision making is hit or miss. He does have a bit of a tendency sometimes to make some poor in-game decisions, but overall, it's not bad at all. But again, he delivers results, which I think is what you, at the end of the day, what you want from a manager, right?
Yeah.
Delivering those results.
Mhm.
What do you guys think
Exactly.
here? Rob likes Inzaghi. Can we pay what Saudi are paying? Those guys just bought EA Sports. Well, the question is not
Right.
what they offer you. The question is, are they actually paying you? There are a lot of I've read and I've heard from some journalists that actually getting your paycheck in the Saudi league is a bit of a hassle. Players can go for months and months without getting paid there, and so
Well, and wasn't that why Jordan Henderson left too? Like he was just like,
I
I'm
don't
not getting paid.
I don't pay attention to Jordan Henderson. That guy's a loser. Could not care less. But I don't remember which player was mentioned. I just remember seeing some journalist say it a couple weeks back, and I was like, well, that makes sense. So, but I like
Yeah.
Inzaghi again. Probably not top of my list, but he's definitely, I think, a very good
Yeah.
manager. I don't 2-year deal in Al
Hmm.
Hilal. I don't know how long he's going to stay there. It's clear he wanted the money, but
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes. But he is gettable, I think.
Yeah.
So. Any
Yes.
thoughts on Simone Inzaghi before I let you wrap it up for us here?
No, I think he did a good job. I mean, the Champions League finals, I mean, that shows a class manager. And to get there twice,
Yeah,
okay, and then lose the heartbreaker to City, and then we won't talk about last year's.
Masters was a very
But um, yeah, I do wonder. I just know the wing backs that we have right now for that 3-5-2 tend to can struggle if they're like we have young ones. Especially that's what we're trying to go for right now. I don't know how well they'd fit with that particular part. If we had some more experienced guys to play, I'd be like, yeah, that's all for them. They'll fit his system really well. They'll know what to do. But he's definitely one to give a shout to because we've seen what he's done at Inter. We've seen just him have set up tactically and flexibly very well.
yeah.
And so yeah, definitely one to have a good shout out to for a possible somebody to think about.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I think he could do a good job. Like I said, the formation works. We'll see though. It's like you'll see what happens in the Saudi league. You never know in the Saudi league. So,
Mm-hmm.
all right,
Mm-hmm.
guys, we're on the final guy here that Dylan's going to go ahead and deliver for us, and then I'm gonna give my picks. I know Dylan, you probably got your pick as well. So
Mm-hmm.
make sure you guys are liking. Make sure you subscribe, and again, keep a lookout for that post in the community tab after this video is done, so you guys can go ahead to visit that poll and vote for your own pick out of today's 8. So, Dylan, finish this out with the old school one.
The old school one is, I think, somebody that everybody likes to kind of chuckle at and enjoy once in a while. The old school one being Diego Simeone. Okay, gotta love what he does at Atletico Madrid. Let's just take a second, and this is one of the big things. One of the notes I wrote down for he's big club proven at player level because remember he played at some of the highest levels during his player career, but he also won't give a fuck about what supporters are saying when he's coming from Atletico Madrid. And he just has that mentality. They could say whatever they want. He's not going to give a shit. Okay, which I mean, that's a lot. You got to have the confidence. You got to have the cojones, everything like that, to be like, okay, yeah, I'm confident in myself.
He
Yeah.
definitely likes to
Let's
show off that he
also,
has the cojones, right?
oh yeah, let's also kind of call out for a fact that he has kept Atletico Madrid. He's won what 3 La Ligas in the
Two
10,
La
15
Ligas,
years
yeah.
that he's been there. Yeah,
Two
while
La Ligas, a Copa del Rey,
and
a
disrupted
Copa de
the
España, and 2 Europa Leagues.
yeah. Yeah, and he's disrupted that duopoly in La Liga that has been Barcelona and Real Madrid for so long.
And
That
Champions
also
League
takes
final
good
as
man
well.
management. Text exactly. Didn't you go twice? I think,
Yeah.
or at least once.
People
I
don't
don't
sleep on
remember, but
Simeone.
yeah, like that's um yeah. So he's one. He's got the tactical know how. He's got the pedigree with winning tournaments, and he's won in very tough environments. I mean, you don't like we said, you don't win La Liga against Real, you don't win uh, against Barcelona without being able to tick the boxes to get your team to go as well as tactically go.
He just beat Real Madrid
He is
5-2.
definitely a fantastic match. Yeah, yeah, it's he's phenomenal. I love the shithousery. I love everything. So he's defensively solid. We know that's how he plays. We know he's going to set the team up well. We know that he's going to get them to dig in with especially with the 4-4-2 formation. He's going to get them to uh, be more defensively solid, which would definitely help out in terms of our goalkeeping shenanigans that we have going on.
Jeez.
Possession base again. Again, hopefully we can get the passing better. But yes, he's a possession based coach. The overloads in the wide areas would be very good for us, especially with the speed that we have with Cunha and Emblemo. If we can overload in terms of getting a couple guys over there, get some breaks going, or even on the pressing, if we can do that as well. He's shifted his style a little bit in the last few years. He's been more defensively counter-attacking. He shifted to a little more possession-based lately, showing that tactical flexibility as the game has changed. So it's not like he's just defense, defense, defense. So I like Simeone, just through that old school mentality. And maybe, Sean, maybe that's dating you and I just because we kind of grew up watching that.
Yeah, I think his personality
But
and the way he just is a bit of a throwback.
yeah,
He's got that
yeah.
Conte kind of vibe to him, which
Mm-hmm.
I like, man. I mean, this would be a completely opposite direction for Ineos in terms of maybe what they're trying to build, but I mean, this
Mm-hmm.
is a grizzled veteran who's seen it all. He's gone toe to toe with some of the biggest clubs in Europe, and he's bloodied a few noses along. He knocked Liverpool out of the Champions League not too long ago. Like, he's
Mm-hmm.
very, very good. He's been there 15 years or so. A couple years ago, if you remember, there was some speculation that he might be leaving. He ended up signing a contract, but his contract only goes till 2027. He's been there. He's managed
Mm-hmm.
700 games at this club, man. He is absolute boss. And I love that recently in the last couple of years, he's shown a bit of updating and progression because his team will sit in a 4-4-2 off the ball, but he does basically work with a 3-5-2 now and is very possession based. And so
Mm-hmm.
Robert, he's only under contract till 2027, my guy. So you never know what could happen there. It could be about time for Madrid Atletico to decide they want to make a change.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but big up,
Yep.
Robert. Good to see you
You
again,
never
man.
know.
Um, let's see, Javi. Yeah, Raja, you gotta go watch from the beginning, bud. You're catching us towards the end now. But yeah, we've gone through. This is our eighth manager that we've talked about today. Um, But like you said, very good defensive. He does well with some players. He's got like Marcus Llorente, who really is like an 8. He's got him playing
Mm-hmm.
striker at times, right back at times. Like he does really, really well. And I like that he's flexibly responsive. Like he can adapt, which I think United fans would like.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that a lot. Gets a lot out of an older squad as well, which I think is really, really good. Despite even at times going behind a goal or two, he's shown that he can come back and do things. He's an
Yep.
inspirational coach. He can motivate his players. He is demanding. He is intense. He's kind of a bit like Mourinho, but without the toxicity, in my opinion. So I think that he's a good manager. Again, it's a very different direction. I think. People are going to question his trophy history, but I think that if like you're saying, if you can consistently disrupt that duopoly of Barcelona, Madrid, and get your name in there and refuse to kind of be left out of that conversation, that's impressive. People might not like his personality in the touchline. I don't mind it at all. Like you're saying, I think we're all a little. I
Yep.
think some of us are old enough to miss that kind of. It's definitely the opposite of someone sitting on an iPad in the dugout. He's going to be walking, pacing upright the whole time. He doesn't speak fluent English. He does speak a little bit more than Inzaghi, but not much. So I've read that he's been taking lessons though in the last several years. So we'll see there. Robert, I don't think Antonio Conte is going anywhere, my guy. He's what he's doing in Napoli. He's got it,
Yeah,
man.
he's got them cooking. Yeah.
Flick's not going anywhere either. He just got to Bayern, man. He's not leaving anywhere. These are the managers I think could be gettable
No,
for one reason or
Flicks
another.
at Barcelona.
Or Barca, sorry, yeah. That's
Yeah,
what I meant.
yeah.
So moving let's look at how Diego stacks up here in my criteria. So very good man management. Trophies are very impressive. Well, obviously, he turned Atletico into a consistent top club amidst the time where Real Madrid and Barcelona were arguably at their peak, really. Couple La Ligas, couple
Mhm.
Europa Leagues as well, some couple of Super Cups, a Copa del Rey, two Champions League finals. I mean, it's really, really good, really, really impressive. Keeping Atletico, turning that league into a top, a 3-team league instead of a 2-team league, basically. Um, I like his defensive compact. I think I like this when it comes to stability. I like the stability to start at the back. You can argue that we went a little in the opposite direction this summer with all the attackers we brought in. Um, I like that he gets results compared to not having as big a budget and as good a squad as some other of the big clubs as well. And then obviously you don't manage at a club for this long. He's one of the top like longest reigning managers in recent history. I mean, he's been at Atletico longer than Pep's been at City and stuff. I mean, he's arguably one of the longest serving managers
Mhm.
in football these days. And so it's like being like a Madrid center back for a decade. You don't stay starting 11 center back at like Real Madrid without being good. You don't stay at a club like this, I mean, what he's doing is impressive. I like this a lot.
Yep.
Um, He's done some really good jobs in Europe as well. A couple of squad overhauls, changing his tactics and stuff to suit. He's kept stability amidst a lot of ever-changing situations at Atletico, and so I like what I see there. He is a bit pragmatic, I think sometimes a little too pragmatic, but he finds a way to get it done, and so I'm happy with that. A lot of top four finishes for Atletico. Like I said, a lot of league title, a couple league titles in there as well. So overall he's delivered, and I think you can't argue with that at all.
Yep.
Robert says De Zerbi. We'll see what's going on with De Zerbi. I'm not quite convinced on De Zerbi. He got found out very, very quickly at Brighton, just like Postecoglou did at Spurs, and so I'm still like, I want to see more from De Zerbi.
Hey,
Um,
hey, you don't like Ange Ball at Forest right now? The going
did
for
they
the 00
did
or
they
the
lose
oh 007?
today? I was watching a little bit of
I think
Newcastle the other day. I
I
can't
think they
remember
did.
who else was I watching today. I don't remember who I was watching today, but yeah, I
Yeah.
thought I was
Yeah,
watching a little bit of
Forest lost
Palace.
again. Or no, drew. They drew. Wow.
Who did it? Villa. I was watching the Villa match. That's what I was watching. Jeez,
Yeah.
Forest lost 3-2, man. That's insane.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. Sorry, I was looking at the table, not the.
um, so those are the 8 options. I did have Sebastian Hoeneß on the list. I ended up taking him off because I just think he just does not have. He's not quite there yet to be even considered. I need to see what he can do when he leaves Stuttgart, and then we can revisit Sebastian Hoeneß. But
Mhm.
I don't know about you, Dylan. I'm torn between 2 options today. I don't know what did you have your pick?
I am. Oh yeah. Do you want me to go first?
You can if you want. I'm torn. I don't have one pick. I'm torn between 2 right now. I could flip a coin and go either way right now. You go
That's
first. What do you got for me?
that's how mine is. So I'm gonna go. So I'm gonna go with my. So I'm gonna give you both my picks that I have because one's a heart pick and one's like a okay. This is kind of like more of the
Okay.
the brain pick. So the heart pick is Glasner, just for the Wolfsburg connection. I like how he coaches, and it's not just the Wolfsburg, but I like how he coaches. I like what he demands. I
Yeah.
like how he does everything. He gets the best out of players no matter where he's at, and there's a history of it at different clubs. Um, he would be my heart pick. I think and now that I know, I didn't actually know he was out of contract. So now that I know he's out of contract, hey, that's something really for me to get excited about.
Yeah.
Um, the one I think they would probably go with is the brain telling me. I think Xavi gets the call just
You think so?
because he's available, he's free, he's got all that. So that's just me. I'm looking at it from the purely financial standpoint of he's available and they won't have to pay anybody out or anything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Those are the options I'm torn between right now. I think Glasner would really find a good way to work with the players that we have, just like he's done with
mhm.
Palace. The lost
Oh
players,
yeah.
Elise, Eze, and Wharton was injured for a
Mhm.
minute, and they still were doing what they needed to do. I think that is such an underrated quality in a manager, being able to manage those crises. And again, even at
Yeah.
Frankfurt, he did some amazing things outside of winning the Europa League. He went on a bunch of winning runs, like a 6 or 7 match run between November,
Mhm.
December. unbeaten in 13 matches later on that season. Like very, very good. Their first Champions League qualification since 1960 at Eintracht Frankfurt. Very, very good. And it's been very
Mhm.
similar at Palace. 18 games unbeaten is the best in the top five leagues right now. He's come to the Premier League. He's
Mhm.
figured it out the best way to get results here. He's shown that, like Pep, okay, this league's different. This is what I have to do. This is how I have to change. And then he did it. Like, and that's what he does. Chooses the best
Mhm.
tactics, the best roles, the best positions for the players that he has, and he's got silverware by doing it, and he's got silverware by beating big teams. Again,
Yes.
that 3-4-3, it is what he plays. A lot of people are not going to be happy with it, but it's not the same as a system. Formation is not system. He plays to the strength of the squad. And while I do think he's going to stick with the 3-4-3, bringing that different system means less gaps in midfield, more disciplined, patient mid block,
Mhm.
pressing triggers in wide areas rather than just everybody shoving forward. Yes, Bruno's probably going to still sit
Mhm.
deep, but he's going to be a different role than what we're seeing. It's going to be a little more
Mhm.
disciplined. And Bruno may not like that, but then Bruno might have to leave, and then you might see Kobe slide in. But for now, this is what I see Glasner kind of working with, and I think it would look completely different than what we've seen under Amorim. And that's again
Mhm.
system versus formation. Um, I don't think it probably that. I think he's going to have a hard time getting United's players to replicate the physicality and the work rate that he wants. Palace were third, fourth, and third last season for tackles, one in the final third, tackles one in the middle third, and tackles one in the defensive third. And they were fourth for interceptions. They know how to win that ball back. They were third for long balls per 90, though, again, which is why I think Bruno is going to be utilized for more of that passing range, or Casemiro as well. I wish that, and then again on the Bruno, I think you're going to see him use like he uses Wharton. If you go look at Adam Wharton's heat maps and his average position for the season, for both this season so far and last season, he is just inside his own half and just inside the opposition half. So more like
Mhm.
playing as an eight. Again, when you have a double pivot, one player tends to move forward the other bit, and the other player tends to sit deep. That's just the way it works. In our system, it's a little different. I think that I'd like to see him have a little bit more to his CV, but I think because he's 51, I think now, so his only major trophies are the Europa League and an FA Cup. Again, good trophies, but I would like to have wanted him to have a little more. Like Eric Ten Hag was like back to back to back at Ajax and stuff, like with leagues and stuff. Even Amorim's got a lot of league trophies and stuff. So I'd like him to have done a little bit more. It's hard to upset the Bayern like monopoly in Bundesliga though, but what I like too is that he's not a manager that's going to push for big names. The shirt sellers, I think that
Mhm.
suits the way we're trying to rebuild. We're looking more at the personalities of the players than the name on the back of the shirt. And I do respect that he basically told Palace, like, stop selling my best players without replacing them, or I'm going to fucking leave. Um, Question is, like, is this guy would have to wait till the summer when he's out of contract? Is this a guy who maybe we'd push to get now if something were to happen? Do we get an interim? Can he bring Adam Wharton with him if he comes this summer? I'm just saying, like, that would be that to me is worth it alone. um, but then, like you said too, Javi, man. I like Xavi a lot. I think that 51% clean sheet record at Barcelona is massive. I love that he plays the youth, Pedri, Gavi, Fermin Lopez, Lamine
Yes.
Yamal. Um, Before he was sacked, I read that Xavi had a starting 11 with at least two players under the age of 20 65 times in La Liga. So again, the record I
Mhm.
think would remain. This was the most actually for La Liga in like 20 years when it comes to playing young players. And so I like that a lot about him. I think he's got a good eye for youth. And obviously, when you're coming through La Masia Academy, they're top notch. But Pedri is one of the best players I've seen in a long time. And I think Xavi has a big part to play in that. I worry a little bit
Oh yeah.
that his midfield tactics and a very Spanish style of playing doesn't really suit necessarily. We'd have to bring in some better midfielders personally. Does, like you're saying, like you said earlier, a lot of good movement, a lot of exploiting the space. We saw that from pretty much every Spanish side we played in Europa League. So I think he might have to adopt a little bit more of a physical, direct approach in the Premier League. And without those players, he might struggle if he tries to stubbornly stick to his system. But so I'm
Yep.
saying there might be a little bit more growing pains with that. But I do think that his preferred setup suits our squad a little better than what Amarim's doing. I think you definitely see that 4-3-3 brought in Bruno, Menu, Casemiro. I think could come in and do a really, really good job in there. I think I like that a lot. We don't need to buy specialized positions for him. Like we don't need to buy wingbacks. We just buy fullbacks or just use the fullbacks we have as fullbacks, basically, because Dogu is a fullback. He's not a wingback. Mizrahi, go back to the way he was when Ten Hag first got him, and he was the best right back that we'd seen in
Mhm.
forever. He has expensive taste. Like I said, he wanted Nico Williams, he wanted Zubamendi,
That
he wanted Cavaradona. So I worry again about that. What were you saying?
No, I was going to say, yeah, the expensive taste might be a knock on them just because of how much, that could cost us. And with PSR, how we organize that, I don't know if that's what Ratcliffe is looking for, if the board's looking for that. So that might be a knock on him in terms of
Yeah.
trying to where he wants to go. But
He might get frustrated without the
excuse me.
players and without the ability to get those kind of players because he also wanted Bernardo
Yeah.
Silva. He wanted Joshua Kimmich as well. So
Yep.
he had a mix of young players and then he wanted players for the here and now. Um,
Hmm.
but what he did at Barcelona was good. Barcelona were ninth when he came in. He took them to second in just 6 months while relying on academy
Yep.
players. Impressive,
Yep.
like impressive. Now, again, I hear the argument La Liga is not the Premier League. It's not we're not a 2 or 3 club league here. There's a lot more tough matches than not in this league, and so it is a bit of a step up. But like I said, like in what you said, he was a world class player. He handled the pressure of a massive club, and he did it very very well. And I think that he definitely is not a manager that I worry about crumbling under the pressure in terms of his
No.
experience in that regard. He's still young as a manager, which is also always going to be something I take into consideration. But I do think he can handle the pressure in terms of it's Manchester United. I'm not saying it's a
Hmm.
guarantee, but I think that is a factor for sure. And so I'm torn between Glasner and Xabi. I think they're very, very different types of managers. Rob says Glasner for me. Well, remember, we're going to put a poll out so you guys can vote after we're all done here. Raja wants Jurgen Klopp. Honest to God, Raja, I don't care if Klopp won a Champions League every single year because he managed Liverpool. I don't want him at United. I just don't. I literally just don't. I'm that petty and tribal. I don't care. I just don't care. But I respect your opinion. um, so I don't know about you how you feel. I don't have any authority when it comes to this kind of stuff. I just looked around at some managers who tick a lot of boxes. I looked around at some managers who are reasonably gettable in terms of contract situation or
Hmm.
situation at the club and whatnot. Whether that's a PL proven guy like Iriola, Howe, or Glasner, a big club management guy like Xavi or Simone Inzaghi, young, fresh tacticians like Julian Nagelsmann, or guys with trophies like Emery, or even these old school bastards like Diogo Simeone. Like I looked at a lot of them, the whole spectrum here. Like I said, I'm going to share a link with a poll for so you guys can go ahead and actually vote on that, and then I'll check back in with that. If your preferred choice isn't on that list, leave a comment on that post so who you'd want instead and why you'd want them. So keep that in mind. I'll keep that open for like a week or so. Um, Dylan, what are your final thoughts here, man?
I think we I think we agreed with a lot of the stuff. I just want to touch again, like, guys, we're not trying to undermine any like Amarin or anything. It's just we're being proactive in case
Yep.
something happens,
Just having
and
the
just
fun
and
chat,
just
man.
getting out and yeah, because it's not like we wouldn't talk about this at the bar or the pub or wherever.
Well, I mean,
So,
nobody has a problem when I look at
I've seen
Lissandro Martinez
so
replacements or when I look at Bruno replacements. It's the same thing.
yeah. Yeah, I've seen a few comments for some people saying this is detrimental to some things. It's like, guys, I mean, is it necessarily the thing we want to do? No, but it's nothing that's like we're saying these guys are the worst or the terrible people. No, it's conjecture about the team because it's a team we support and
Yeah.
we want to voice our opinions about. And most everybody's been very like, yeah, this is a good discussion. So
I'm still not Amarim out,
yeah.
Amarim in. I guys know I don't do that. The whole reason we're doing this is because Amarim is not making the changes that I think both Dylan, I, a lot of you, a lot of pundits and fans and content creators, they've all said a lot of the same stuff. That it's not like, oh, we like Cobby, play Cobby. It's that clearly this isn't working, whether it's the way we're building up, whether it's the team selection, the substitutions, whatever, it's not working. You're doing the same
Mhm.
things. Like you have to learn to make changes. Like I said, Pep Guardiola came into this Premier League, recognized the need for being better physically and winning those second balls. He literally said these second balls are killing me. made some changes and things happen. You have to be able to do that. Glasner's done the same thing. A lot of managers do that. You have to. And Amorim's not doing it. I don't know why. I don't know if he's just like in his head, he's like, no, it's going to work. It's going to work. Or if he's just so arrogant that he thinks that he knows it all. I don't know. I'm not saying he is or not. I'm not Amorim out. I'm saying, like I've said from the get-go, if he doesn't make these changes, he's going to get himself sacked. And this is just the way it is. So yeah, Dylan hit it on the head there.
And
But yeah, Raja,
and I do, and I
sorry.
yeah, yeah.
You can call
I
me.
just I do want to make the note too.
Go ahead. Sorry, man.
I do want no, you're good. I do want to make the note too. I do worry for Amarin a little bit, just like his mental state, because he looks broken at certain times. Like he looks like he knows what it wants to happen, and it's not happening. And guys, I've coached at a very youth level. I can't say I have any big league experience or anything. I just remember coaching and knowing that things we did in practice weren't working on the court and trying to make adjustments and it not working. And I get that feeling. And I got to the end of my season doing that, and I was like, no, I can't do this anymore. This is killing me. Yeah. So I can empathize with him on that, and I do worry a little bit about where he's at. Hopefully he's taking care of himself, like just getting something where he can de-stress.
Well, didn't his wife come out recently and say something like he's just like he doesn't like the abuse and like all this? I don't know. I mean, you're a football manager. And this is Manchester United. If you didn't know, then now you know that this ain't sporting. Like, and it just is what it is. Now, again, he's been reportedly backed by Ineos. Reportedly, they're going to give him to the end of the year to see how he does. But I don't want this to be another write-off year. We can't have another year last year because I don't know if we'll be lucky enough to not be relegated if things don't change. And so, you all let me know what your thoughts are. I'm going to put out that poll when we're done here. Keep a lookout for that. So make sure you've got the notification bell hit so you don't miss anything, you guys. Make sure you're liking. Make sure you're subscribing. Please check out the memberships and the United vs. Everybody store. All new designs coming all over the place. You guys, mugs, hoodies. I mean, you guys
look out for that waistcoat, everybody. That's in the future.
We get good, Southgate. I will make a custom waistcoat, and I will find a waistcoat. As you can see, we've got like mugs. I got my Fergie Time mug. I got this on the United vs. Everybody store. So check it out. Dylan, what are any final thoughts on here? Were there names on my list that you weren't thinking of? Were there surprises? Did you change your mind at all during this whole process of putting together this show, or are you pretty much just a Glasner fanboy?
I am a big Glasner fanboy. If anything, I got a little more. I got more respect for Areola, just by what he's done, his tactical know-how. Same with Xavi. I didn't know as much about Xavi besides the big club mentality. And we didn't have Jonas or Sebastian Jonas. I don't quite remember how to say his name. But before we didn't include him, I did a whole thing on him, and I was like, okay, there's an up-and-coming manager, somebody to look out for. So,
no, I had him on the list. I had a whole thing for him. I just was like, you know what? He has not done anything. Not done. If we're thinking, or if people are already thinking that like Glasner and Iraola will get swallowed up, like Jonas he might not last as long as Moyes in that regard. I mean, that's like Moyes again. No one's saying any of these guys are guarantees, but again, kind of like picking the right players, the right starting 11. It's like you want the guy who ticks enough boxes to put you in the best position possible. Amorim ticked a lot of boxes, and I don't know if he's been able to hold up his end on things. And so might have had to put Rob Taff on the list. Apparently he won the Prem and Europa his first season. And I don't see how did you win Europa? Because the United aren't even in Europe.
He made it work.
I see. Well, anyway.
But, hey, Rob's manager, you're director of football. I can be head of academy, dude. It'll all work out.
There it is, man. Coach the youngsters. So, Dylan, any final thoughts tonight before I let you get back to your homework and whatnot?
No, just really appreciate you having me on for this one. I know you've been earmarking this one just in case it needed to happen and circumstances dictated it happen now. I'm just glad I could be a part of this. So thank you.
No, I appreciate, man. You guys, it's your show, man. I know you're just as much part of it now as I am, so I appreciate you always putting in the work and doing the research and taking the time. I know you've got a lot going on. I know didn't want to ever press you, but it was like you said, it was about time to just go ahead and put this one out there and see what. And mostly, I'm just curious to hear what everybody thinks. And so,
Mhm.
thank you, Rob. You know, it's your guys' channel. You guys make it what it is. You guys facilitate the discussion. Tonight was a little different because we had a lot of info to talk about. But if you weren't able to catch the live, please leave a comment. Keep a lookout for that poll. I'll put a link up. So just follow the link, take you to the poll, vote, and you get to see the results as well so far. But I'll check back in with that in like a week and see where everyone is at based on the show. Maybe some of you guys' minds were changed tonight. Maybe you learned a little something. Maybe you've thought of saw a manager you weren't even considering anymore. Maybe who knows? But
Mhm.
it's always just context, right? So y'all have a good night. Dylan, you have a good night. Say goodbye to everybody because they love seeing your face, buddy.
Have a good one, everybody. Always appreciate being on here.
All right, y'all. Thank you guys so much for getting involved. Had a pleasure as always. Keep a lookout tomorrow for the match preview for the Sunderland match. Ugh, I don't want to do one, but whatever. And then it's international break again, so keep a
Mhm.
lookout for that. We'll be doing that tomorrow afternoon. I've got clients tomorrow, so won't happen till the afternoon. So until then, you guys enjoy your night. Dylan, you enjoy your night. And I will see you guys on the next one. Later.
Have a good one, everybody.